Product design, cleaner production, and packaging. The main objectives of product design, production, and packaging are to reduce costs while at the same time meeting product pricing strategies, specification, and customer needs, as well as maintaining compliance with health, safety, and environmental legislation.
Product design for environmental and sustainable logistics. Design for environment or eco-design is now the primary concern of industrial designers. More than 80% of a product's environmental impact is determined at the design stage. What is design for environment? Design for environment is a technique for reducing or minimizing a product's environmental effects over its lifespan. DFE is guided by the principle of long-term sustainability, which aims to simultaneously have a balance between environmental conservation, economic stability, and social well-being. An effective design for environment practices maintains or increases a product's efficiency and cost while at the same time reducing environmental impacts. Circular economy is another concept that can be used to guide design for environment. It aims to keep products, components, and materials at their highest utilization and value at all times. The sample illustration shows the 5 major phases of a value chain or product life cycle, which are the raw materials, manufacturing or the processing of a product, transport or the distribution of products to customers, use is the consumption of the product, and lastly, the end-of-life management. According to Ellen MacArthur Foundation, circular economy emphasizes restoration or technical cycle and regeneration or biological cycle. Regeneration or biological cycle represent techniques to transform end-of-life products into useful biochemical or biofuel through processes like composting. Restoration or technical cycle is a method to recover and restore products, components, and materials through strategies like reuse, repair, remanufacture, and recycle end-of-life products. For example, Green Toys Company. The products they sell are 100% made from recycled materials. The toys are made from recycled plastic milk jugs. Products are packed in 100% recyclable cardboard and printed with minimal color using soy inks. Their system also diverts materials from landfills, which saves energy and reduces their carbon footprint. Furthermore, they are made exclusively in the United States, which reduces greenhouse gases, energy, and transportation. Green Toys Company are committed in raising awareness about sustainability while delivering unquestionably safe products.
Selection of materials. An act of choosing the material best suited to achieve the requirements of a given application. This is a challenging task considering the fact that it should be the best suited material to fulfill the requirements to be able to achieve the best result of the product. Some materials are renewable, some are not, phasing out of materials that causes hazardous effect to human and environment. First, some materials are renewable, some are not. Materials such as chrome, coal, diamonds, cobalt, gold, iron, water, crude oil, natural gas are some of the materials mostly used for production, and these are the materials that might be rare if cannot be used or recycled. Second, phasing out materials that causes hazardous effects to human and environment. Some materials are phased out by manufacturers since it causes hazardous effect to human and environment during production and disposal process. Hazardous substances like explosive, oxidizing agents and peroxide, toxic substances, substances causes diseases, and radioactive substances. Selected hazardous substances such as acids and alkalis, arsenics, asbestos, cyanide, dimethyl fumarate, lead, and mercury. Providing the list of hazardous substances, some should be avoided and some are totally banned in the country, in accordance to the Regulatory Commission. Thus, many manufacturers specify their own supplier's code of conduct to always be conform with the regulations and provide product information.
After we discuss the selection of materials, let us now proceed to the case study towards an integrated product design for environment. In most businesses and firms, it is very important to integrate and design our product into something that is unique, good quality, cost-effective, and at the same time, it is good-looking to the eyes of the consumers and customers. It is essential to create a new product because it can attract more customers, increase brand recognition, and it builds strong relationships among stakeholders, investors, and customers. Before I jump to the case study of Motorola Company, let us define first what is product design. Product design describes the process of imagining, iterating, and creating products that solve users' problems or address specific needs in a given market. Product design talks about the entire process of creating usable products and new experiences, starting by defining the real people's problems and thinking about possible solutions or answers to a certain issue of the problem. Many businesses come up integrating product design for environment, and one great example is Motorola Company. In January 2011, the company was divided into two independent public companies, Motorola Mobility and Motorola Solutions. Motorola Mobility handles the company's mobile and consumer products business like smartphone and smartwatches, while Motorola Solutions handles communications products for enterprise and government like police radios. Environmentally Preferred Products is a program aiming to achieve the following set of environmental product goals. First is designing products to increase recyclability, reducing the use of hazardous materials, reducing energy used in production and consumption of a product, increasing the use of recycled material in products, minimizing the ratio of packaging material to product volume, labeling all plastic parts weighing more than 4 grams to increase future recycling. Motorola maintains specific internal protocols and reporting requirements for its factories worldwide. Some of the main environmental metrics were volatile organic materials emissions, are harmful gases emitted by certain products or processes. Exposing to volatile organic compounds can result in asthma, itchy eyes, sneezing, runny nose, and headache. Long-term exposure to volatile organic compounds can cause kidney damage and elevated blood pressure. Hazardous air emissions, also known as toxic air pollutants, are defined by a list of chemicals that are known or suspected of causing cancer or other serious health effects. Hazardous air pollutants can affect human health in a number of ways, including skin, throat, and eye irritation, headaches, nerve, and organ damage, and increased risk of cancers and premature of death. Next is hazardous waste, are waste or products that may contain toxic substances that may bring potential threats to the public health and to the environment. Examples of hazardous waste are solvent-based paints, motor oils from cars, pesticides, and other garden chemicals. This case study focuses on the way Motorola integrated product design for the environment. Motorola divided its product design process into 3 levels of structure. First, involve concept development and product system design. In level 1, they will start making a concept or develop a set of new ideas to give better solutions to a certain problems. Second, cover detailed product design and manufacture of a prototype. Once they have done in developing a concept, they will start working on the process of detailing and designing the product, and after that, they will create a prototype as their model or example. And third, covered actual mass production. In final level, after conceptualizing, designing, and detailing the product, they will now proceed to the actual mass production. This stage occurs the producing uniform products using repetitive and standardized processes.
Cleaner production. So what is cleaner production? The term cleaner production and pollution prevention often mean the same thing. Pollution prevention is generally used in North America, while cleaner production is the preferred term in the other parts of the world. Also, cleaner production aims to improve the efficient use of energy and water consumption and raw materials. Prevent undesirable pollution during the production processes and the delivery of the product and service to customers. Seek to optimize the reuse and recycling of hazardous and non-hazardous materials. Cleaner production is an integrated strategy that continuously protects the environment. Next one is implementation of cleaner production. First one is eco-efficiency. The deliver of competitively priced goods and services that satisfy human needs and bring quality of life. Next is producing more goods and services with less energy and fewer natural resources. Eco-efficient business get greater value out of their raw materials as well as producing less waste and less pollution. Next one is waste minimization. The use of waste prevention approach focusing on the site reduction of waste. Sources of waste such as raw materials, technology, operating practices, off-site recycling by direct reuse after reclamation. Zero waste. Zero waste is a way to set targets for waste minimization. It means no waste is sent to the landfill. Next is pollution prevention. It is about preventing or reducing waste where it originates at source. Green productivity. Preferred term in the other parts of the world. Also, cleaner production is the continuous application of an integrated preventive environmental strategy applied to the processes, products, and services to increase eco-efficiency and reduce risk to human. Another information, cleaner production attempts to improve the efficient use of energy and water consumption and raw materials. Prevent undesirable pollution during the production processes and the delivery of the product and service to customers. Seek to optimize the reuse and recycling of hazardous and non-hazardous materials. Cleaner production is an integrated strategy that continuously protects the environment. Next one is implementation of cleaner production. First one is eco-efficiency. The deliver of competitively priced goods and services that satisfy human needs and bring quality of life. Next is producing more goods and services with less energy and fewer natural resources. Eco-efficient business get greater value out of their raw materials as well as producing less waste and less pollution. Next one is waste minimization. The use of waste prevention approach focusing on the site reduction of waste. Sources of waste such as raw materials, technology, operating practices, off-site recycling by direct reuse after reclamation. Zero waste. Zero waste is a way to set targets for waste minimization. It means no waste is sent to the landfill. Next is pollution prevention. It is about preventing or reducing waste where it originates at source. Green productivity. A strategy for enhancing productivity and environmental performances in order to improve overall socio-economic development. Industrial symbiosis. Form of eco-industrial development which apply the concept of industrial ecology to allow by the product resources. For example, waste, heat, and water. So let's move to general principle of cleaner production can be applied to the entire production cycle. First one is increase productivity by ensuring a more efficient use of raw materials, energy, and water. Next is promote better environmental performances through the reduction at source of waste and emissions. Next is reduce the environmental impact of products throughout their life cycle by the design of environmentally friendly but cost-effective products. Next is reduce at source the quantity and toxicity of all emission and waste generated, and released. Gases eliminate as far as possible the use of toxic and dangerous materials. So let's move to the principle for cleaner agricultural production. Example is minimize the harmful impact of crop protection practices. Minimize the harmful impact of crop growth stimulating practices. Use water efficiently and care for the long-term availability of water. Care about health of the soil. Conserve natural habitats. Care for and preserve the quality and health effects of the produce. Reuse and recycle packaging materials. This promote decent work and fair labor practices. Next one part of cleaner production is housekeeping. Good housekeeping helps to prevent leaks and spills of hazardous materials. It also forms the basis for the effective implementation of standardized operation and maintenance procedures and practices. One tips to reduce usage of electricity is workers are reminded to switch off the lighting and air conditioning when they are not required.
Roles of standards and certification in textile industry. Textile industry. The textile industry is one of the many contributors of jobs and economic growth in many developing economies, also known as one of the dirtiest industries because it requires a great amount of chemicals and water during wet processing. Thousands of different chemicals, including heavy metals like mercury, cadmium, lead, chromium, bleaches, detergents, brighteners, and others, are used when making yarn from natural fibers and used to dye and wash fabrics. Textile workers, especially those who are involved in wet processing, are exposed to hazardous chemicals which may cause respiratory problems, asthma, and even carcinogenic problems in Zhang 2009. A great amount of water is used together with the chemicals and discharged as wastewater, which damage the natural environment. These problems are among the reasons for the establishment of the Restricted Substance List of RSL. RSL is the list of chemical substances that a company wishes to eliminate or to keep below required concentration in their product. To control the selection and use of chemicals, some companies adopt eco-labels or standards such as EU Flower and Ecotex Standards 100. Ecotex enables consumers and companies to make responsible decisions which protects our planet for future generations. The testing and certification process on which our standards are based guarantees maximum consumer safety. E-flower is labeled of environmental excellence that is awarded to products and services meeting high environmental standards throughout their life cycle, from raw materials to extraction to production, distribution, and disposal. Despite adopting standards, challenges still occur. Not all chemicals are sourced from established chemical manufacturers. New textile factories are built in centuries, requiring less transparency in terms of wastewater discharge. In 2011, Greenpeace released Dirty Laundry Report. Dirty Laundry profiles the problem of toxic water pollution resulting from the release of hazardous chemicals by the textile industry in China. Following the release of two dirty laundry reports by Greenpeace in 2011, top clothing brands including Nike, Puma, Adidas, and H&M have agreed to eliminate discharges of all hazardous chemicals across their entire supply chain and product life cycle in 2020. In the case of H&M, for example, they are committed to conserving soil, air, and species. In terms of raw materials, H&M aims to use only certified organic cotton. In terms of water and chemical, H&M work with factories to improve the way water is used, treats, and eliminate, and suppliers are audited by external auditors. In case of Esco Group, a producer of premium cotton shirts who owns factories cleaner production because the main strategy is objective. Number 1, cotton is grown in its own facilities. Number 2, takes care of spinning, weaving, dyeing, manufacturing, packaging, and retailing. Number 3, uses pollution database. Number 4, uses Ecotex Standard 100 to make cleaner production, mental management system or EMS. EMS is a formal system of database which integrates procedures and processes for the training of personnel, monitoring, summarizing, and reporting of specialized environmental performance information to internal and external stakeholders of the firm. Environmental Management System. Number 1. Produce formal structures of rules and resources to establish organization and routines. Number 2. Helps achieve corporate environmental goals and innovate. Number 3. Main mechanism for creating awareness and providing training to workers. Environmental Management System. These two standards have very similar structure but there are fundamental differences. ISO 14001 International Standard for EMS and most widely used in the world, and iOS 14001 2004 emphasize only the commitment to compliance, but such as compliance is not essential to keep their certification. Check for environmental system performance against internal benchmarks. And lastly, frequency of audits is left to the discretion of the individual firm. Eco-Management and Audit Scheme or EMAS is compliant to relevant environmental rules and regulations to guarantee their certification, guaranteed by obligatory audits every 3 years where all requirements are checked, and a statement is made public. Textile industry are expected to commit to proactive initiatives to protect the environment, not just simply improving management systems to improving environmental performance.
Packaging for the environment. Packaging is a process of designing and protecting product against contamination. Packaging is required practically all goods such as food, beverages, healthcare, cosmetics, electronics, and clothing. Packaging is too expensive. Packaging is very important part of production, logistics, supply chain, and marketing goods. Increasing trend of using plastic as a packaging material. Paper bags is not a good choice for packaging. All packaging materials can be reused, recycled, or recovered. First, packaging is too expensive. Packaging is the most expensive part, typically made of materials such as glass, plastic, paper, cardboard, metal, and wood. Glass is typically used for beverages and liquids. Papers are for light goods, and corrugated cardboards can be used for heavier goods. Woods are typically used to make crates and pallets, while metal cases and tanks are suitable for containing and transporting bulk products. Second, packaging is very important for supporting production, logistics, supply chain, and marketing goods. Since packaging is the one that protects goods, allows goods to be contained and transported in a standard unit of loading, and allows marketers to provide essential information about the goods to their customers. Third, increasing trend of using plastic as a packaging material. Plastic is light in weight. It reduces both the weight of transported goods and amount of packed goods that go to waste. That reduces carbon dioxide emissions. Abandonment of plastics in packaging will result to significant increase in weight of waste, energy consumption in making alternatives, and cost of packaging. Fourth, paper bags is not a good choice for packaging. 14 million trees are being cut down for 10 billion paper bags, and it consumes 4 times more energy and more air and waterborne pollution than production of plastic bags according to Science World. Lastly, all packaging materials can be reused, recycled, or recovered. Packaging is also one of the main waste streams which could harm environment if not properly managed. The following principles for environmentally friendlier packaging design. First, use minimum packaging volume and weight as long as it meets minimum adequate amount to maintain the necessary levels of safety and hygiene acceptable for packaged product and for the consumer. Second, packaging shall be designed, produced, and commercialized for reuse, recovery, recycling, and to minimize its impact on environment when being disposed of. Third, packaging shall be produced so that the presence of noxious and other hazardous substances as constitute the packaging material be minimized when they are being landfilled. Fourth, Packaging design for the energy recovery option shall be a minimum inferior calorific value to allow optimization of energy recovery. Fifth, packaging designed for composting shall be biodegradable so that it should not hinder the separation collection and the composting process. And lastly, biodegradable packaging shall be capable of undergoing physical, chemical, thermal, or biological decomposition so that the finished compost ultimately decomposes into carbon dioxide, biomass, and water.
Towards sustainable packaging for grocery supply chains. Many businesses and enterprises engage in sustainable packaging that uses eco-friendly and recyclable materials like paper, glass, plastic, cardboard, metal, and wood for their products. They opt to choose recycled packaging because it gives positive impact to the environment in such a way that it can reduce waste of natural resources and reduce amount of plastic that everyday we use. Using recycling packaging helps to reduce the emissions of greenhouse gases, it helps to save energy and reduce costs, and most importantly, it helps to preserve the natural resources in our environment. In September 2010, several companies were prosecuted for using excessive packaging for their products. Example of excessive packaging: individually wrapped cotton buds, individually wrapped screws, and individually wrapped jelly beans. There's a company who were also prosecuted for using excessive packaging, and that is Sainsbury's. Sainsbury's was prosecuted for using excess wrapping on its Taste the Difference low matured ultimate beef roasting joint. The joints were packed in plastic shrimp wrap, placed inside a plastic tray, topped with a transparent plastic lid, and surrounded with a cardboard sleeve. UK says the packaging should be limited to the minimum adequate amount to ensure safety and hygiene. Sainsbury's is the first of the major supermarket chains to be taken to court under the packaging regulations, which aim to minimize the amount of waste packaging and its environmental impact. The company later redesigned the packaging and reduced the total amount of packaging by 53%. Sainsbury's has been one of the first supermarkets in the UK to adopt sustainable initiatives to reduce environmental management. The following examples demonstrate how redesign of packaging materials can help to reduce environmental impacts as well as fuel consumption. Sainsbury's switched their glass peanut butter jars into plastic, cutting packaging by 83%. They want to replace it because it is more convenient, safe, and to prevent accidents towards the customers and consumers. Next, the size of the outer sleeves for ready meals packaging reduced by 45%. And next, heat seal lids on soft fruit lines introduced to reduce 440 tons of packaging each year. And next, reducing Easter egg packaging by 57%. And next, removing the cartons from canned tuna fillet in order to reduce packaging by 20%. And next, reducing the cardboard on pizza-based mix to save 87% of packaging. Reducing the diameter of the inner cardboard tube of toilet rolls by 24%. And last, promoting the use of refill instead of the original bottles and boxes in order to reduce the use of heavier packaging material.
Sustainable consumption and logistics. As defined by the Oslo Symposium in 1999, sustainable consumption is the use of services and related products which respond to the basic needs and bring a better quality of life while minimizing the use of natural resources and toxic materials, as well as emissions of waste and pollutants over the life cycle of the service or product, so as not to jeopardize the needs of future generations. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development is an international organization that works to build better policies for better lives. They are working with different governments and companies to encourage the adaptation of sustainable consumption. Mandatory government actions to promote sustainable consumption has been developed. Manufacturers of household products are nowadays required to conform to energy efficiency standards and labels. Government are also using taxes and charges. Very often, taxes and charges are not set at a level high enough to change consumer decision behavior. Instead, subsidies and incentives have been used to encourage the purchase and use of more energy-efficient vehicles, solar panels, solar and thermal water heaters, and recycling of waste. Additionally, some companies produce durable products to prolong their lives and avoid wastage. For example, Patagonia, a company that sells clothing, aims to build the best products that cause no unnecessary harm. Their famous 2011 advert, "Don't buy this jacket," explains the possibility of environmental bankruptcy. The jackets were made exceptionally durable and therefore do not need replacing as often. However, there are still products where durability or prolonged use do not appeal as they may seem unaffordable. High-tech devices such as mobile phones are phased out frequently by the introduction of new technologies. These devices can be designed for recycling, refurbishment, remanufacturing, and reuse. Another, washing machines could be more efficient if they were made to last longer. Frequent damage and replacement ends up to large number of waste. That's why manufacturers have redesigned machines to enable replacement of components that frequently break down. In the Circular Economy Dictionary, these are called technical or restoration cycles. The proponents of sustainable or reverse logistics have been focusing on the effective management of physical flows of end-of-life products. Government and companies look into ways on how to prolong and effectively use a product while at the same time protecting the sustainability of the environment.
Regulatory framework. There has been an ongoing debate about the value of regulations. Some companies view regulation as additional costs, while others argue they are necessary. Alternatively, there is a famous hypothesis that challenges the notion that tough and environmental regulation imply additional costs that harm competitions. And that is the Porter hypothesis. This hypothesis suggests that stricter environmental regulations in the form of economic incentives can create a win-win situations that drives innovation that may create competitiveness in the market. Such as competitiveness may outweigh the initial or short-run costs of the regulations. By moving managerial attention from trading off between environmental costs and other economic factors, compliance with the strict regulations, companies will eventually develop breakthrough technologies that significantly improve environmental performance while creating a new competitively advantage in the products. The United Nations and many governments are developing and imposing new and stricter regulation following their commitments to various environmental improvement targets. Therefore, logistics and supply chain professionals needs to understand the legislation framework related to product design, production, and packaging. And here's our example at a global level. Basel Convention, Rotterdam Convention, Stockholm Convention, Kyoto Protocol, and Marrakesh Accords. It is highly instrumental in setting up legislation frameworks for the application and transboundary movement and environmental sound management of hazardous and other waste. That's all for today. Thank you for listening.
Voluntary regulations. Organizations may choose to adopt standards or certifications voluntarily. Here are some examples of voluntary regulations. Voluntary regulations can be drawn up and enforced by any appropriate body within the professional sector, but will often take the form of a membership body for the professionals operating in that sector.
Eco-Design Directive. Eco-design means taking into account the environmental impacts of a product right at the early stage of design. It helps coordinate product design and planning so that the attempt to eliminate a toxic substance does not compromise energy consumptions during material extraction, production, and recycling. The Eco-Design Directive is used together with other policy tools such as the Energy Labeling Directive, EU Eco-Label, and Green Public Procurement or GPP.
Restriction of the use of certain hazardous substances. Recycling of e-waste. People from third world country is collecting and recycling e-waste had been found to be poisoned by the heavy metals since e-waste like computers, laptops, monitors, mobile phones have this certain amount of lead, cadmium, and chromium that is hazardous to human. ROHS Directive 2011 number 65 of European Parliament and Council. This restricts the use of hazardous substances in electrical and electronic equipment. The six hazardous materials are lead, mercury, cadmium, hexavalent chromium, polybrominated biphenyls, and polybrominated biphenyls ether. The maximum permitted concentrations are 0.01% for hexavalent chromium and 0.1% or 1000 ppm by weight of homogeneous material. Waste Electrical and Electronic Equipment Directive of 2002 number 96 EC. This sets collections, recycling, and recovery targets for electrical goods. The other two standards and legislation similar to ROHS. First, final measures for administration of the control and electronic information products, also known as ROHS China or China Order Number 39. Second, Electronic Waste Recycling Act of 2003 or EWRA passed by California State. New revisions of ROHS. It is expected to cover other equipment such as medical devices, control and monitoring instruments, and industrial control and monitoring instruments.
Registration, Evaluation, Authorization, and Restriction of Chemicals, also known as REACH. REACH is the European Community Regulation on Chemicals and their safe use. REACH aims to improve the protection of human health and the environment through the better and earlier identification of the intrinsic properties of chemical substances.
The REACH regulations replace a number of directives with a single system EU regulation concerning the registration, evaluation, authorisation and restriction of chemicals. The regulations are in place to provide a high level of protection to human health and the environment from the use of chemicals, and to make the people who place chemicals on the market responsible for understanding and managing the risks associated with their use. REACH came into force on the 1st of June 2007 and replaced a number of European directives and regulations with a single system. Subsequent inclusions impact solvents traditionally used in cleaning applications. All chemicals in the EU have to be registered for their application, depending on volume and application, and trichloroethylene, also known as trike or TCE, and NPB are highlighted as substances of very high concern as they're Class 2 carcinogenic and mutagenic respectively. Trichloroethylene is also subject to Annex 14 authorisation and has a sunset date of the 21st of April 2016. The latest submission date for authorisation was the 21st of October 2014, which means that if you haven't already applied for authorisation, the latest date that you'll be able to use trichloroethylene is the 21st of April 2016. Novec engineered fluids featuring HFE-based technology from 3M are a family of versatile, non-flammable, high-performing solvent cleaning fluids. They offer a safer, cost-effective alternative to more harmful cleaning solvents, providing excellent precision cleaning performance, and aren't targeted for phase down or phase out. They can be used in immersion systems with ultrasonic agitation and also used for aerosol or hand wipe cleaning in many different industries, including aerospace, medical, automotive and electronics.
European Union adopted to improve the protection of human health and the environment from the risks that can be posed by chemicals. while enhancing the competitiveness of the European Union chemicals industry. It also promotes alternative methods for the hazard assessment of substance in order to reduce the number of tests on animals. REACH applies to all chemical substances, not only those used in industrial processes, but also in our day-to-day lives. For example, in cleaning products, paints, as well as in articles such as clothes, furniture, and electric appliances. Therefore, the regulation has an impact on most companies across the European Union.
Regulations on packaging and packaging waste. So what is packaging waste? It is a single market measure with environmental goals. What is packaging? Packaging is all products made of any materials of any nature to be used for the containment, protection, handling, delivery, and presentation of goods. It is from raw materials to processed goods from the product. There are directive promotes. So number 1 is packaging to be minimized. Next is packaging to be designed for recovery and reuse. It is applicable to reuse, reduce, and recycle. Next is recovery targets to be met by the UK for waste packaging. Heavy metals in packaging to be restricted. Let's move to the 3 essential requirements of the directive. First, packaging volume and weight must be minimum amount needed to maintain the necessary level of safety, hygiene, and acceptance for the packed product and for the consumer. Packaging must be manufactured so as to permit reuse or recovery in accordance with the specific requirements. Last is noxious or hazardous substances in packaging must be minimized in emissions, ash, or leachate from incineration or landfill.
There has been growing recognition that the ways we design products and their production and delivery processes have to change. In addition, to make sure that the product is making money, there is a need to reduce the natural resources and chemical use while making sure that there are no adverse health effects to workers and minimizing environmental damage. It is not just about carbon footprint, one has to consider water footprint, energy consumption, and biological metabolism. The design of cleaner products and the use of cleaner production technologies and packaging are essential for preventing pollution, conserving natural resources, and recycling. Many innovative solutions and methods are now developed such that design of a product should consider reducing energy and material consumption during production and use. One important starting point is the selection and discovery of environmental friendlier materials. In this respect, many regulations have been already developed to control the use of the most hazardous substances and to track the production and use of chemicals. In addition, it is also possible to design cleaner production and logistic processes. It is not just about pollution prevention. A more comprehensive, cleaner production program should take into account waste minimization, cleaner packaging, green productivity, energy, and eco-efficiency. Those who invest in developing new and cleaner technology for production can lead the industry and even make this a new business opportunity. Others who develop new packaging materials or work with suppliers to reduce packaging weights are becoming environmental leaders in the industries, gaining more business and better reputation. It is also evident that success in implementing eco-design, cleaner product, and packaging requires an integrated environmental management system and the ability to extend the environmental improvement efforts to the supply chains. Companies at the forefront are taking challenges such as Factor 4, Factor 10, and zero emissions. Even though companies are investing in many efforts, they rely on the customers to drive the demand for environmental friendly products. Ultimately, it is the end consumers who pay for the products. Companies should consider working more with consumers and making them realize the environmental implications of their consumption of the products they purchase so that they share responsibility such as anyone else in the supply chain.
From Group 1, how does REACH work?
Which establishes procedures for collecting and assessing information on the properties and hazard of substances. All manufacturers, companies, and importers need to register their substances, and to do this because they need to work together with other companies who are registering the same substance. Yun lang.
From Group 2, what are the three product design process of Motorola Company? Please explain it in a way that can easy to understand. Thank you.
Okay po. Um, In Motorola integrated their product design to help and preserve the living things in our environment. So, Motorola divided its product design into three levels of a structure. So first, they involve concept development and product system design. In this level one, they will start making a concepts or develop a set of new product designs that contributes to the environment and also to sustain the needs and wants of every people. So this stage focuses on creating their plans that solves to the certain problems. So the second is cover detailed product design and manufacture of a prototype. So once they have done in developing and conceptualizing, they will start working on the process of detailing and designing their product. And after that, they will create a prototype as their model or example. So the third one is covered actual mass production. So in final level, after they're conceptualizing, designing, and detailing the product, they will now proceed to the actual mass production. So this stage occurs the producing uniform products using repetitive and standardized processes. So yun lang po. Thank you.
Thank you.
From Group 3, what does ecotext means? Thank you.
Um, Ecotex means it is a global network of laboratories offering customized services for testing every single stage of processing of textile materials. And the companies that are aiming for sustainable products and processes are usually used who are obtaining for the Ecotex test to be done. Yun po. Thank you.
Why plastic is a good choice for packaging than paper?
Okay, plastic packaging is better than paper packaging because plastic lessen the creation of waste and the use of energy in making the alternatives. Unlike with paper, since to produce paper bags, it needs to cut down trees and it consumes 4 times energy and causes more air and waterborne pollution. That's all.
From Group 6, why the circular economy important to the environment?
Circular economy is important because it helps to extend the life cycle of a product through regeneration and restoration process, which helps to reduce waste in the environment.
Yun lang po.
Thank you.
From Group 7, what is the main objectives of product design, cleaner production, and packaging?
are um, are to reduce costs while at the same time meeting product pricing strategies, specifications, and customer needs, as well as maintaining compliance with health, safety, and environmental legislation po.
Thank you.
For Group 8, para kay Andeng, how can you minimize waste and why it is important?
By purchasing only what you really need or reusing items. You can also save money through proper waste awareness. One of the bigger reasons to reduce waste is to conserve space in our landfills and reduce the need to build more landfills which take up valuable space and are source of air and water pollution. Thank you.
Okay, tapos na po lahat magtanong yung per group.
Picture na lang.
Opo. Pa-open cam na lang po lahat. If carry. Andrea,
Oh,
ikaw na magpipicture.
hindi andun sa cellphone ko.
Si Rowel na lang.
Sige, sige.
Ako na mag-SS.
Sige, Bel.